Good morning, everybody. It's Marty the JavaScript Party and my buddy Rhett. Here's a nut burger. Here you go, baby. I'm gonna put that in there. Don't bite me. Don't you bite me. You just want me to hand it to you. Don't drop it. All right. I guess Rhett is feeling adventurous today. Um. So it is Wednesday. I believe it today is Wednesday. Uh, did not feel particularly great yesterday, and I thought, yeah, today's Wednesday. And I kind of like ran into sort of a couple of situations that I was just kind of like, okay, I need to hit the brakes and think through this. First of all, what I've done is I've created like I have a bug, and what happens is when you add these and then you delete it, you come in here and then you delete it, and then you add another one. Let's go back to here. Um, what happens is there's still a visualization. So this all of this I've named a visualization. That's um, the the component that is a visualization object, various objects, and all that. But when I built it out, I said delete renderer item. Hang on one second. Oh, I thought she dropped her nut, but she actually had just dropped the shell. She got rid of the shell of the walnut, pulled out all the inside. So I ended up messing up, right? Because I said delete renderer, and really what I needed to do is delete the visualization. And I've already kind of the idea I had was okay, I'm going to make a commit, just a temporary commit, and then I'm going to make the changes that fix it, and then I'm going to undo the commit. I'm going to stash those changes that I made that fix it. I'm going to undo the commit, and then I'm going to apply my stash, my git stash to that, and then make like the final implements, delete, commit, right? But the problem is that I haven't ever quite wrapped my mind exactly why this happens and how you make this happen. But sometimes when you unstash things, your commit will have a git collision. I don't really understand that, but you can end up with a git collision from a git item that you stashed, and then it is like everything can just get broken, and it could take forever. And it's very confusing on why things are confused. So I thought we had a bug, we make some small changes to it, and then apply, and then just apply that to the existing commit. But at this point, I realized I made a huge, a very, very huge isn't the right word, but a very, very high level with high chance of architectural implications um, error, because I'm not trying to delete a renderer item. I'm trying to delete the entire I'm trying to delete the entire visualization. And now that I think about it, I think I even have like this duplicated. Yeah, see the tabular layout. Um, well, no, I guess not. For some reason I thought I had. Oh yeah, you can only delete a renderer item from this view. So that okay, but so since I realized that now this is a higher level thing, the odds of a collision when I bring things back from Git are very high, and then then the odds of messing something up during that merge go way up. So I don't want to be in that situation um, because I know we're going to have a, a lot of potential for collisions. So basically, what I want to do is first thing I want to do is stash. Well, let me look at the changes that I have right now. Just make sure that I don't really want any changes that. Okay, so that is the sort of like, hey, shouldn't we do this? Okay, we definitely want to keep that change. And then, so that was like sort of the number one thing that I realized is that, okay, I've gone down a horribly wrong road. The number two thing I realized is I have never, ever, ever, ever even come close to having such a good example of a classic JavaScript object memory leak that is like this easy to sort of imagine, because we have these things on the screen, and we have references that still exist of this thing on the screen, even though this thing on the screen is no longer on the screen. Never, ever, ever had something that was that easy to sort of debug. Generally, by the time you're starting to have those bugs, everything is so abstract that it's almost impossible to get a good grip on it. So I knew that I want to take this fix, this new path that we're on, this adventure that we found ourselves on, I think is one of the most important adventures that you can go on in JavaScript. And I finally have one queued up, so I definitely wanted to take this slow and easy. But first things first, let me see, we are on Major Baby Watch, so I don't know what is happening. Okay, so that my wife just sent me a text for something that she just needs um, to keep an eye on. All right. Normally I would just ignore it, but we are on Baby Watch. Baby Watch, baby. All right, so I'm going to stash this. So what this means is I'm going to take this code and just pull it out like it never existed. I don't know exactly how Git handles that, but Git does that, and all you say is Git stash. Now, if you can also use, if you're using Visual Studio Code like I am here, you can also stash these things by clicking this button, and then that will actually let you put a message in and everything. Um, but I plan to do this all in one big thing, and I'm hoping, crossing fingers, that I don't have any collisions. I can't see why I would have any collisions, but I can imagine getting collisions from this. So Git stash. So what we're expecting to see is that all of this will go away. All right, so it's like all of those changes are gone. If you look in here, I think there's a way to see the stashes, but anyways, now basically we are in a posture of being having that one commit that had all the code in it in a temporary commit. We want to make it a regular commit. So I believe you do git reset like this, head one, I don't know, dash dash soft. I think that's how you do it. I always want to be double, triple sure. I've never accidentally successfully done something that was like, oh no, I think that is how you do it. So want to reset last unpushed git commit soft. Okay. Ah, that was so close. Okay, so git reset dash dash soft head squiggly one. So dash dash soft. And I don't think it matters if you put this at the end or at the beginning. Head squiggly one. So I'm just taking this as a from faith that that's correct, only because I've done it a million times and that looks right. Okay, so those are all our changes. Okay, so now we're going to do what's called a stash pop. And what that's going to do is that's going to pull all the code that I just... Well, okay, I don't want to do that. Actually, what I want to do now is commit this in a legit commit. Because I think I might want to have this code that deals with the current issues in its own commit. So git add and then git commit dash m. And this is sort of, I thought, I just really obsessed about this all day yesterday and all night last night, and then this morning I was just like, okay, do I want to make a new commit, or do I want to um, like pull all this code into this? And I think I want to keep this code is nice and clean. It's 100% unit test and all that. So I think I want to keep it as is and then apply the new code on top of this, as opposed to um, just bring the new code on top of all of this. So I'm going to say git commit dash m implements delete with a bug. Can I give it a better with a memory leak? Bug. All right, so now it's a legit commit. So if I have to bring my new code in and make it its own commit, that is fine. I don't have some weird don't commit blah 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 commit in there. I do that. I have done that a bunch of times. Okay, I definitely don't want to push this though, because I still want to have the options of like smushing these and all that locally before I push it out. So next. Okay, so git stash and pop. And this, what this will do is this will bring my last stash back and removes it from the stash list. So basically the first thing pushed it. I don't know why I didn't have to say git stash push. That would have been probably felt a little bit better. Now git stash pop. And so basically, yeah, it says dropped this stash. So it just got rid of it. There's ways to do it where you can get it back and then the stash back, but the stash stays stashed. And every once in a while you will do a git stash pop and it'll say, oh, we have a conflict. And that is sort of the beginning of a really bad day for you if that happens, or at least has been for me in the past, because trying to understand what the heck just happened is really bizarre. Maybe one day when I will try to make that happen and try to dig in. But all right, so now we have our, I believe it was an app tabular component. Yeah, we have this. Okay, so I know that this is screwed up because I'm saying delete render item, but I want to delete the actual visualization. And I kind of see what was going on here, because this is all about like, hey, we have a renders. See, this is all about renders, but it really shouldn't be. Oh yeah, I see why I was getting kind of confused. So what I'm trying to do here is I'm trying to, like, the user has created a visualization. Oh, okay. What I'm trying to do here is when you have something, right, and then you leave, right, that old one is gone. It doesn't exist anymore. But this one now exists. So we don't want to necessarily delete the renderer all the time. But when they hit this button, that's a different game. We want to actually delete the whole item, not the render. We're trying to delete the entire visualization, which is going to get kind of weird because, like, a visualization can have references to materials and to other cameras and stuff like that we may not want to delete. So we might still want to have some of these objects, but we do want to, the whole concept of the renderer is gone now. But for some reason, right here, I think I have the renderer, um, delete render. We have the ID. And one thing that we have established is that a renderer, a visualization can't have two renderers. They can't share a render. So we know that a render ID is uniquely identifies the visualization. So we have this visualization service. I don't know, do we even use this visualization service? Yeah. So basically, I think what we want is we want the visualization service to delete the visualization. So it's delete visualization. Or render ID. And basically, I want to put a little comment to myself. So a visualization, visualizations never I don't know exactly how to write a comment there that's going to make sense to me in the future. So uniquely let's just do this. So this may not always stay true, but I think it will. Now there is just so many moving parts happening right now that it's almost impossible to like visualize them for me right now. And I have recently learned that the reason that is one of the reasons is because I primarily speak English. Apparently, people who primarily speak a language, which is like subject with that, they have to remember things. Like their brain is optimized for remembering, whereas people like me, where the subject is at the end, our brain is optimizing for guessing and trying to predict things. Because if you come to me and you say, hey, can you go into the bedroom and get the big white fluffy, I'm guessing pillow. That's just how I've been optimized, right? They said big white fluffy in a bedroom, that's got to be a pillow, right? My brain is optimized for that. But if it was like, if you were like, hey, I want you to get me the pillow that is in the bedroom and is big and white, by the time you get to the last word, you're trying to remember what the object is, um, not trying to predict what the object is. So um, that's why I think people that are trying to remember things like that, they are gonna. It's gonna be easier for them to sort of mentally visualize all these different pieces of. Okay, so we have like a renderer that's running over and over again, and then each one of those renderers is kicking off another rendering thing that's in ThreeJS, and that ThreeJS thing has a reference to something that are to the ST visualization, and that ST visualization uh, is deleted though, so we don't want it actually running anymore. But we want to make sure that we don't just end up with it just running, but it's not doing anything. Like that's not what we're trying to do. We're trying to prevent it from running. All of those things are is a harder task for people who speak language like I speak, and trying to go through and figure out how things are going to work in the future and all that. That is what I'm optimized for. So I just recently learned that from just interacting on my voice thing and all that. But anyway, so now I have this it's upset with me because I renamed this thing to here. So let's go ahead and name this to here, and this changes. Okay. So basically what we have is the renderer. We do not have the visualization. What we need is the visualization. And we don't need the visualization. We just need to delete the visualization. And visualization service is probably the thing that you would expect to be able to delete the visualization. So let's see if there's a function inside of visualization service for deleting visualizations. So we do not have a function for, well, I still haven't gotten to the end. Row, get row. So it doesn't look like we have anything to, well, oh, delete component for ID. Oh wait, delete visualization for renderer ID. Oh, that's from prune. So this one wants to so prune visualization, so that will actually go through the visualization, but sometimes we call it this render service. We delete the whole thing. So this will remove it from, it looks like, okay, that's in the renderer service. Okay. So we actually do have a function to delete a visualization, but it doesn't look like it. Oh, okay. What it does is it actually, so what this is actually doing is it's deleting the instance. It's deleting the link to the visualization. It's not deleting the visualization because you can't actually delete the visualization. The visualization will automatically be deleted when there are no more references to it. But we have learned that there is actually another place where it's referenced, and that's in it's in a function that so that's in a function that has a reference to the visualization within itself, and it runs itself over and over again. So we're going to have to figure that one out too. And that is a new thing. So basically, delete visualization for render ID is that. So new visualizations. So this just creates a new one. It doesn't actually delete it. It just creates the visualization, a brand new array, but it doesn't actually remove it. So I think that should be filter, not delete, since it is not actually deleting. And that's going to break unit tests. Faux show. Now, when we delete, we do know that we want a delete. Delete And this is going to be weird, right? Because this is going to be really strange because we're going to delete this visualization. The other way, we are deleting the renderer because the renderer needs to be completely deleted. But this is that's why we're pruning the visualizations by render IDs. We're actually removing the renderer. This one we're deleting the visualization for a renderer ID. So it's going to return well, what's going to do, it's going to set, okay, it's going to say this dot. I'm trying to figure out where this ST visualization comes from. I think it's right over here. Okay, so basically we are actually going to update it. Now, again, the thing you got to keep in mind, this is the prize here. Because this is an opportunity that if you don't quite get it, this is another shot at really getting it. Okay. This does not actually. The visualization. It removes the link from the array. That's all it does. That's all we're doing. Okay. And we're going to say filter service. So basically we're just going to do this exact thing. But see here we write it to a local, a new array, right? So we have a brand new array that is literally just a list of visualizations, just like this other visualizations, but in its list it doesn't have a pointer to the ones that fail this filter. But here we're actually overriding it. And I think we want to do this. All right, so basically I would like it to be like, it would be better if this was a function that accepted the visualizations, but really all this does is, like, this is not a pure function, so it's going to be harder to unit test. But this is, I do want a function that I can call from outside that doesn't have access to the attributes, the service attributes. So I think this is going to be the easiest way for me to do this. And since it's not really doing anything, like literally all I have to do is run it and give it a number. So it's super easy to unit test as is. Okay. All right, so now let's go back to, well, let's just make sure nothing is broken. Nothing should be broken. Let's see, wait. everything seems to be working. Now, that makes sense because we didn't run any of this, but still, it's always good to check in. And then, hey, Rod's trying to call me, so he might call you here in a second, Melissa. All right, okay, so now in here. Okay, so do we still want to delete the renderer? I think so. Because see, this UI service has a link to the renderer, so we want to get rid of that link because we would like that renderer to not exist anymore after a little while. Service. All right, so boom. So now I don't know what's going to happen. Let's look at our console. Everything's pretty abstract right now. So here's our animation functions. We definitely want those to go away when it's done, but we won't be able to until that deleted. And so yeah, until the one that we delete is supposed to be is being hidden, but we aren't setting that value. I forgot about that. Okay, I don't know. Did something just break? No. All right, and now delete. So that seems good. But see, we still have the 1 and 9. And that is because our renderer is not deleted. So we need the st renderer. That doesn't seem right. I think we want not the renderer to be deleted. We want the st. This is crazy. We want the st visualization to be, because st renderer doesn't even have it deleted. It says it does. Is that not a renderer? See, I don't think this is a renderer. I think this is a st, because st renderers don't have deleted, I didn't think. Let's come over here. Okay, so one of our changes added a deleted to interface. There we go. Oh, it is on the renderer. Oh, it actually does have a reference to can have a reference to the st visualization. Oh my gosh, I forgot. The render is above the visualization. So I think all of that was unnecessary, I think. Because I always forget. I am amazed because you know what? The very first thing I figured out when I started a new thing is, oh, renderers are at the top. kind of messed up. All right, so delete visualization for renderer ID. So we actually want to delete the renderer. Okay, so before I change that name back to what it needs to be, what we want is visualization. Okay, so when we go to UI service and we delete the renderer, go to definition. Okay, so the first thing we want to do is we want to come over here in st render, in delete renderer. And I think right here we want to say, so this is a link to the actual renderer, right? And so this is an object and it has a deleted value. And now it's true. True. So I think I went down a completely wrong thing because in my head, and this happens to me all the time in this specific thing, I put the visualization above the renderer, but the renderer is above the visualization. The renderer holds the visualization. And this is very confused now. Just run that because that's going to run over and over and over again. All right, this is our animation function for 1. Let's delete it. There's where we set it to true. Console log. Okay, so we still have the animation function is running, even though it didn't. I don't think it's ever getting into here, I don't think. See, so this animation function keeps running even though, like if we click here, and I think that is a problem. I know that is a problem. We do not want this function running right now. So if we have, I mean, we fixed like one of the basic problems, and that's that, you know, it was trying to run, it was trying to do operations on deleted renderers. And I don't know, like now if, so we're in here, so we're getting in there. So I don't know if we, yeah, it's a little easier, I guess, from this view. So I don't know if we're going to get the error. Now, if it's actually deleted. And then, okay, so it did, well, it does seem like it actually is no longer doing that other bug where it wasn't actually deleting the, like we had a problem in that it wasn't, like now, before what happened, the bug that we've fixed now is that if we add one, we can. And see, we couldn't add one once we deleted a visualization. So we have fixed that bug. The problem is we have this crazy memory leak of all these guys running, even though like one is long gone. One has nothing and it keeps on running. And I do not know how to fix that. I'm looking forward to figuring it out, but let's see. And then Yeah, see, we could not do that. So we have fixed the bug. Now, I did wrongly rename some stuff, and we want to definitely revert that. Um, but and that is going to be so much easier to do right now. I don't know. Actually, we need to step through that and figure out if that actually. Um, should this be delete render or viz? All right, so we do have a to do to go back and research that. So the bug is fixed, but we've discovered a new bug, and it's not a bug that would ever probably, like having a bunch of functions that are just running doing nothing probably would never ever cause a problem, but we don't want that, and we want to figure out how. I honestly, this is one of the first times in this entire series where I'm like, I have absolutely no idea how we're going to make that stop running. um, so it's going to be a huge deep dive. um, Basically what we're trying to do now, just to put a fine point on it, is when I add one of these, a function is running to to handle this animations. That's what's causing this to update. The problem is that when I delete that, it no longer tries to do any of this stuff, but the function is still running. It's not doing anything, but it's still running, just sapping CPU behind the scenes. And we need to figure out how to get that. And I have literally never had such a great opportunity to dig into this sort of scenario. Anyways, it's 8:55, so I got to go. Happy coding, everybody. Bye.